let's first talk about audience building and building fan bases on YouTube. So you guys started your journey in February of 2013. You know, look forward a year and a half, and you've got one of the largest channels in Singapore. You know, starting a fan base is not easy, right? So maybe you can share, you know, your success in developing and growing your fan base, and how do you keep them engaged?
Okay. Well, initially when we first started, we didn't really have the intention to, you know, create like viral videos and stuff. But when one of our video went viral by accident, we realized that the relatability with the local culture is very important. So like what the usual Singaporeans would say in normal life, we try to put those elements in. So when it becomes relatable, people will share it, stuff like that.
Yeah, I would say that we grew our fan base, it's actually by accident. So it's just we did a lot of hobby videos.
I just talked about all these tips to go, and she says it's an accident.
Oops. Okay, so yeah.
See, like, we don't know anything. I mean, the creators actually know what's going on.
Yeah, so it's, you know, we did videos, you know, for our own fun. So it's by accident that, you know, local Singaporeans actually like it and they share it. And this is how we continue, you know, doing these videos that we want to do anyway. And like we say, you know, we celebrate a lot of Singlish and Hokkien because we feel that, you know, Singapore culture is actually pretty unique and we want to maintain that and upkeep that in our channel.
That's great. So on to the Fung brothers, Andrew and David. You guys started back in 2011, so a few more years on the platform. And we talked about the fact that you guys have 630,000 subscribers now. You know, tell us about your journey and the turning point for your channel. Was there one particular video that made it become a breakout? Or was there a moment, like, how did you start getting traction?
I'll start from the beginning real quick. So actually, for an Asian American YouTuber entering the scene, we started pretty late. Like the Wong Fu guys and Tim Daylight Ghetto, they had been in the game for 5, 6 years, 7 years already. So we got in there after we graduated college, and yeah, it was hard at first because we didn't really know what we were doing. And we were lucky to team up with a couple of good director friends that helped us make our first viral videos. But after that, we actually didn't have a system of making more videos because it was kind of like, it was a collaboration between us and the director. But when the director, that's not his full-time job, is to work with Fung Bros. He has to go live life and find work elsewhere. It's more of a passion project for him. So we took some time to kind of mutter around and then find our system. That took a while.
I will just be quick to, oh no, the picture's not up there anymore. Anyway, I would say that there's two different points that you feel like you've kind of like reached the right critical mass to like break through the barriers. And I think one is in terms of hits. Your first hit is obviously a big deal, over something over 500,000. But once you can sustain it and build a system where you can continue to deliver content that receives a high amount of views is one thing. But I would say on the second side that a lot of creators don't think about, or like maybe people who see creators, is the brand deals. So the first successful brand deal that we were able to pull off with the brand that was still able to go viral, so it's a win-win for everybody, was definitely like a milestone as well.
Once you pull off one successful brand deal, and I think we all, both of us know about brand deals, once you pull off the first successful one, then other people see that, and the other companies say, hey, like they can do it, and it can seem natural, organic, but also helpful to our brand and helpful to them, and then, you know, everybody comes out of the situation.
Yeah, and for the crowd, if you guys don't, the brand deals that they're referring to, you know, I talked about FanFest and the tremendous kind of connection we see between our creators and their fans, you know, how they line up and scream and cry and faint when these guys show up. You know, I think brands are starting to realize that that's extremely powerful. And if they can tap into that connection, it's something that will really work for them in a very authentic way. So I think one of the key things that you talked about, you know, it's not just about doing the brand integration, but also doing it in a way that it is authentic. It is consistent with how you program and with your content, and that's really important. So I'm sure you guys also turn down a lot of those opportunities when they don't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I don't know if the people in the crowd have seen that Malaysia Singapore music video, but that's actually a brand deal for like coconut milk. So it was but it was so able to go viral.
Yeah, it was something that, it was kind of a topic that we always wanted to touch on, but then the opportunity to make a music video about it came about, and that was the best opportunity to do it. And yeah.
So let's switch a little bit to content on the platform. NOC, could you walk us through how you think about programming content for your channel? You guys upload content every Sunday. You know, how do you sustain the programming? Where do you get the ideas? How do you keep them fresh?
Okay, basically, we have a crew of the actors, the talents, and stuff. We gather often to have like supper and stuff. So we chat about like, you know, just normal stuff. And when something funny comes up, we will try to like transform it into a script. So that's usually how we get our ideas and like inspire from like daily lives and stuff.
Yeah, like what you mentioned about brand deals, because at NOC we actually do about like 70% branded content for different brands. So what happens is that a brand will come to look for us and they have an objective, a kind of like concept that they want their video to kind of like fall into place. So what we do is that we'll write a script, we'll refine the concept, and then we'll do the production and everything for them. So I would say that the ideas is like 30% like fun content that we actually want to do, and then like 70% is like more organic stuff for the brands and yeah, promotion for them.
So now to the Fung brothers, I think you guys focus a lot on Asian culture and talk about how, you know, not all Asian cultures and countries are similar. In fact, they're very, very distinct. And you guys have built upon that theme. But maybe you can talk a little bit more about like, where does your inspiration come from? Where do your ideas come from for, you know, what you're going to create next and the content ideas?
I think it took us about a year to find our voice. So a year of making random videos here and there, some Asian, some not, some odd, off-the-wall ideas that we would never make anymore. And those videos are still on our channel. I think once we figured out like this Asian thing is something that we're very passionate about, and in America especially, kind of our mission is to keep Asian America Asian. So to deliver kind of a discussion about Asian topics, Asian food in a way that is consumable to all Americans, and especially Asian Americans, to kind of help keep them up to date and keep them thinking about being Asian and their culture.
Yeah, because I think when, obviously versus Singapore, which is kind of a westernized country, Asian country in Asia, when you grow up in a purely Western country, but your face doesn't really represent any Western culture to most people in that country, that kind of colors so many of your experiences growing up, almost every experience. So, you know, we just decided to draw on that because we kind of felt like it was a mission. And for anybody in here who is, regardless of whether they're a brand or a creator, I think that mission, you know, obviously there's other priorities, there's profitability and all these things that kind of all fall somewhere in your checklist, but like mission for us is always at the very top.
And you know, looking at our past, even before YouTube, when we were just like making fun little songs together, a lot of the stuff we would talk about was still Asian. So talking about being Asian has been a part of our lives for many, many years before YouTube. But now, then we realized that YouTube was the greatest platform to do this. And we were also like, on the business end, we're gonna fill a niche. No one else is really talking about being Asian American and talking about these issues, so why don't we do it? And we will kind of dominate that topic. Not that I don't want other people to do it, but it's just like we kind of are kind of known for that.
Direct to consumer. I think that's the key thing, because through traditional media channels, it has to be approved by gatekeepers and filtered through so many different levels. And YouTube is straight to the people, the common man. Yeah.
You guys also have multiple channels. So you have your FungBrosComedy, but then you have individual channels as well, right? Like, do you guys maintain multiple channels? How do you decide?
Those personal channels are actually, I would say,
pretty
inactive.
outdated. Yeah,
they're pretty inactive.
Those are from when we were like way back.
Before we moved to LA, those were our channels. And
That's
so you would
migrated.
find some interesting content on that. Now, I think it's funny for some people who want to look back and go on our old channels and then go through our channel and how it's grown all the way to the content that we make today. And I think we're still the same people, but you definitely see an evolution of the Fung Bros.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things to think about. Like, we get this question from a lot of our partners, which is, you know, should I have one big channel? Should I have multiple channels? And I think it does vary depending upon the type of content you have, et cetera, et cetera. But we certainly have teams that work very closely with partners to try to help you guys figure that out. We're going to move next to NOC. One of the key things that people often ask is, like, how does a video go viral? We talked about the concept of shareability earlier. You guys have a lot of videos that have millions of views. So what is it that you're doing as you conceptualize videos? What are some of the tricks that you're using to make them more shareable?
Well, most of our videos that hit over 1 million views, the thumbnail is rather racy and sexy.
It's boobs.
It's just boobs. So that could be one trick, if you put it that way.
No, I would say like the videos are just shared by the common man, just local Singaporeans, friends. So I would say that the content is actually really important. Like for us in Singapore especially, we are a very young country. We're less than 50-year-old. So I would say that Singaporeans are probably finding like an identity, something that they can relate to. So for us, we do lots of local stuff, like everyday scenarios and things like that. So I would say that Singaporeans probably, really relate to that because, when you watch YouTube, you can watch like Ryan Higa, you can watch like the American YouTubers, but nobody actually touches on, the heart of the Singaporean. So for us, it's very heartland, it's very local, and I think that is why, our videos are going viral organically because, people actually can relate to what's going on in these videos.
Yeah. So going back to Andrew and David, like you guys, your videos, obviously we have a broad variety in content quality and the production value. Your videos actually have quite high production value with lots of editing, etc. How do you guys go through the whole creative process about like what's the right level of production value? How important are things like lighting and editing? Because you can also create great videos by just sitting in front of a camera in your living room.
Yeah, sometimes, to be honest, the production value depends on the budget and if it's a brand deal or not. But yeah, on our stuff, we do have editors that help us edit, and we try to, however we edit the video, it has to add the value. So if it needs a little bit more titles, a little bit more jump cuts to make it quicker and easier to watch, or if we need to add a picture here and there to kind of get our point across better, then yeah, we definitely go in that direction.
So Ryan and Sylvia, you guys have actually done a lot of work with traditional media as well. And obviously that's can be a very different world. I guess I'd love for you guys to share some advice with people that are thinking about getting started on YouTube. Like how should they go about thinking about creating channels, creating content, with your experience on both sides?
Okay, the thing is, Singaporean, we started in 2013, and we're already considered pioneers. So I would say that Singapore is a little late in the YouTube scene, but what NOC ourselves have done is that we actually have a sub-channel whereby we teach people, like Singaporeans, how to be YouTubers. So like very technical things that nobody wants to do, like things like doing subtitles, it can take the whole day, that kind of thing, how to create a logo. So we actually do that on a sub-channel. Regarding traditional media, like we have worked with like radio stations and like the local TV stations and things. I would say that what I always actually tell them when I first work with them is that YouTube is really, really different from traditional media. You really cannot put like the mentality you have when you do a free-to-air commercial onto a YouTuber when we do like online content, because it's just very, how would I say, YouTube is, consumer driven, whereas, if you put something on the TV, people have to watch it because, they're sitting down and they're just watching the TV. Whereas, YouTube, you really need something very special to drive them to watch the content. So that's what I always tell, people I work with in traditional media, that if you want to work with me, you really got to understand where I come from. Yeah.
And I think, it goes beyond traditional media. I think if you think about advertising, that's changing as well. The whole TrueView format on YouTube, which you can skip, is really forcing people to think about ads in a very different way. It's not the 15-second, 30-second spot. It's really about content marketing, which is becoming more and more of a buzzword for all the agencies and advertisers. And they're thinking about storytelling as well. And that's why a lot of times they actually work with our YouTube creators. I personally watched an ad that was 3 minutes long a month ago, and I don't think I would have ever thought that I would ever watch an ad that was so long. But it was actually a fairly nice story instead of an ad, and so we're seeing a lot of that happen on the platform as well. And going back to you guys, the Fung brothers, on measuring success, and there's obviously a lot of things that you can look at. Your subscriber numbers, your view count, your likes. Different platforms have different currencies. Like, how do you define success? Like, what are the most important things for you when it relates to YouTube, and what is the success on the channels?
It's a really good question. I think different YouTube channels have different metrics. Different people. I'm sure they have different things, but for us personally, on Fung Brothers, I think it's how relevant are we being? Are people talking about the videos? Are they being shared? Are they making the impact that they're meant to make? Or, when we're out, whether it's digital or in the streets with the people, are people coming up to us and referencing our stuff? Are they excited and things like that? Obviously, there's no Google Analytics for that, but obviously beyond that, we totally look at view count, engagement, sheer income, AdSense revenue.
But how proud our parents are, how mad they are, if they're less mad.
Probably the latter.
Yeah.
The
I mean, they're kind of
the less
supportive now.
disappointed they are in their black sheep sons.
The more our parents talk about us to their friends, that's a pretty mathematical metric.
There you go. So Ryan and Sylvia, back to you. You guys have over 300K subs on your channel now. We talked a little bit about interactivity, connecting with your fans and your subscribers. Like, what are some of the things that you do to really engage with people coming to your channel to consume your content?
So apart from making videos, we have like other platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and stuff like that. So we sort of like, we will try to reply to every comment, every emails and stuff like that. And when fans come up to us, when they see us in public, we always like talk to them, like what's their favorite video, and we take pictures with them and stuff like that. And we organize like events like meet and greet and stuff like that to keep them, engaged and keep it more personal. So, yeah.
You guys did something similar right now, right? Like when you were coming out to Asia, you created a video and let people know that you were going to be here. You answered a lot of questions. What's the impact of that type of engagement? Have you seen a lot of that fan activity have an impact here as you come into town?
I think for us it's interesting because we don't necessarily actually engage as much as we could. A lot more people do a lot of like question and answer, or like hit me up on Twitter. I'll do like Q&A on my Twitter and stuff. We don't do that as much, so I do think that when we do engage, our fans really appreciate it. So I'm always a little bit surprised at how much they like it and how much they appreciate it.
But yeah, absolutely. I do think making that video prior to coming out to Asia, Taiwan, Hong Kong, now Singapore, definitely had an impact, because people were bumping into in the airport and the subway terminals were saying, oh yeah, I knew that you guys were coming from that video, and I followed you guys on Instagram, and now I've seen your Instagram journey through Asia. So
also, it's good because even though that didn't hit our full subscriber base, it actually would get shared amongst friends who had seen maybe a couple of our videos and said, oh, hey, these guys are coming to Singapore, Malaysia. They're going to have a meet and greet.
I know that targeted video content really does quite well. Like, for example, sometimes if we do a college show in the States, they'll ask as part of our deal to make a quick video that they can distribute, not necessarily on our channel, maybe a secondary channel. Maybe they'll put it out on their own channel. And they always say that stimulates people coming to the show much, much more. If there's an actual video of the artist saying, I will be there on blah, 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 blah date at this venue.
It's kind of like the same way at the end slates of a lot of YouTube videos. You'll say, hey, click subscribe, click like, let me know in the comments below. Just saying that actually matters a lot. And a lot of people actually do that. So,
because you're kind of speaking with the audience directly as if you were face to face.
What's a call to action? You're actually like telling them almost what to do, like, hey, reminding them, like, and then the kids, oh, I have some time, let me go leave a comment, like this video and stuff.
Yeah. So one of the buzzwords in the whole creator community is collaborations. You guys both do a bunch of collaborations with local creators and with international creators as well. I think in one sense, I don't know if any of you guys have been following the latest season of Dancing with the Stars. You know, Bethany Mota, one of our top fashion vloggers with over 6 million subscribers, was on that show. And I see that as a collaboration between a TV show and a YouTube star as well. And you know, maybe you guys can talk a little bit about like why you do those collaborations, what's the right way to collaborate, how do you find the right people to collaborate with, and the impact that you've seen from that type of activity.
Well, first and foremost, you know, when you search for like the right people to collaborate with, it's usually your fellow YouTubers. Because I think we are a very niche group of people. We are not really a production house. We're not really an actor. We are kind of like everything rolled into one. And you really got to find like-minded people who really know what you're doing. Because to be very honest, social media is tiring as shit. So, you know, you really got to get people, you know, who, it's basically a 24/7 kind of job. So you need to get people who are equally passionate and equally, you know, driven to actually do all these collaborations. And all these collaborations actually take up a lot of time, a lot of logistics to plan. Like yesterday, we shot all day with them. And it's just, you know, one day just shooting like a couple of videos. And it's so tiring, but, but it's fun because, you know, we are like all these little people in this little world. I mean, this is a very big world called YouTube, but, you know, we're kind of like similar in a way. And it's really fun because you get to know like each of us better, and we are actually like friends at the end of the day. You know, you might think I'm just saying that we are friends, but no, you know, at the end of the day, YouTubers, we are really friends. You know, we do hang out, we go holidays together and things like that. So you make a very big group of friends, and that is actually really nice because you can't find this kind of like-minded people anywhere else. Yeah, it's just within us. Yeah.
All right, great. So one final question from me, and then we'll go to the audience. You know, you both of you have seen tremendous success already, right? I think the viewership you're getting on YouTube, the subscriber bases that you're building. You know, what's next? Where do you see your channels going? Where do you see, you know, what's 2015 going to hold for you guys?
I think you're going to see, in a way, an extension of what we're doing right now, the same current format, but perhaps on the next level. Maybe there's more videos per week. Maybe they're, you know, even more targeted. Maybe they're featuring even more collaborations. I don't know, but I will say one thing, and this is a plug, that our business manager, Mylin Yamamoto, is standing right there. So if anybody in the audience wants to get in on 2015 for the Fung Bros,
it's going to be a big year. So we have a cable TV show. That's a food and travel show coming out that we're going to be filming in February on the FYI network.
And that's also the channel that, if you guys are familiar with Epic Mealtime,
yes,
they transitioned to having a cable television show on American TV too. So we're gonna do the same thing, and we'll see. That's also speaking to the power of YouTube to transition into traditional media, obviously, because they see the product. You know.
I'll tell you this, the challenge for us is going to be balancing a strong YouTube channel while doing all that outside stuff. That's going to be a big challenge for us, so we're looking for help.
Because they are separate ecosystems. I think that and one last thing I'll just say to piggyback off what Sylvia said is, to be a YouTuber, you have to love the entire ecosystem of being a YouTuber, and that's from engaging with fans when you see them in person, 6-year-old kid, you know, that can't even barely speak. You have to like totally enjoy that genuinely deep down, at least in our section of YouTube. So that's why I think it's so difficult for, like, let's say for example, a brand, if they really wanted to like calculate the market and create their own YouTuber, it'd be very difficult because probably the person they would find wouldn't be as organic.
Yeah. So I mean, I think as you can see, these guys are not just creators; they become businesses as well. And so you know, that's you know, the crossover into into traditional media is happening. The brand deals are happening. You know, with our multi-channel networks, I was reading a report just last week that talked about the fact that $1.65 billion have gone into the YouTube ecosystem in the form of acquisitions and investments. And you know, traditional media companies are seeing the power of these channels and the audiences that they have. So you know, Disney acquires Maker Studios, and then RTL just recently acquired Style Hall. You had DreamWorks acquiring Awesomeness TV, and really the assets that they have is, you know, a collection of channels, the fan bases that they've built across the world, and a very different audience. You know, a lot of it's younger, which people are struggling to reach out to. So I'm really excited because I think this is just the beginning, and we've got lots of great stuff hopefully in the future. So with that, we're going to go, I think, to the audience, and the first question is, which one is making more money, YouTube ads or working with agencies and brands for branded content?
I think the answer is quite obvious, right? Brand deals make the most money.
Yes, I would say yes. I would agree.
Yeah.
Well, because you're selling a product, and oftentimes these companies are approaching you with a budget that normally went to traditional media, and those were gigantic budgets. I think, at least in the current environment, kind of end up getting spent inefficiently, right? Because the traditional media has a certain market with all these extra costs and stuff like that. So when they go direct to you, they're getting the same impact that they want, or perhaps even more targeted, but at even a cheaper price. But it still is a lot of money for like independent teams like us.
Yeah, I think I think the whole brand phenomenon is a positive thing, right? Because we talk about the fact that the YouTube revenue is just one part of it. When you have these folks turning into businesses, when you have people like Michelle Phan launching their own beauty lines and makeup lines and becoming ambassadors for brands like L'Oreal, when you have someone like Bethany Mota that goes out and has her own clothing line with Aeropostale and is showing up on TV shows, I think it just really proves the power of building loyal fan bases, and that's the activity, and I think that more and more of that's going to happen. And I already talked about how the channels themselves are assets, right? So it's not just the ad revenue, it's the fact that those channels are being acquired by media companies. That's a digital asset that company or the creators creating for themselves. The second question we already, I think, covered, which was what are the next steps for you guys now that you've built up an audience and have deals already? But I think you guys already talked about what the future holds. Let's go to the next one. With all the noise on the platform, 300 hours of content per minute, how do you reach and engage your audience? I think some of that is covered. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
Yeah, I think every single day it is harder to get a viral video on YouTube, and it's harder to get views on YouTube. And I know that sounds like extremely scary for people like us to say, but it's kind of the truth. So what that makes us do is, you got to think smarter, and you got to be sure to add the value or get a good thumbnail. Probably a combination of the both.
I think you really gotta love it. It is so all-encompassing, and if you're unfamiliar with it, I think the scope of it. Most people, they go to their job and they do it well, but then it's 9 to 5, 9 to 6, and then they go home and then it's turned off. The YouTube thing is like 24/7. It's like it encompasses every single aspect of your life, who you end up meeting, what you end up talking about with the people you end up meeting, and things like that. So I think that once you have that level of just like it's so deeply embedded in your life, then you're constantly kind of tending to that plant, but in a way it doesn't feel like it because it's just your life now.
This is, again, a topic that we talked about a little bit, but the question is, what's the best way to build a channel? Should a channel be niche, or can there be different web series or formats under the same channel? Is it also difficult to manage multiple channels? So, I don't know if you guys have thoughts. Obviously, you started off with individual channels and decided to then consolidate into one. You guys still operate a couple of different channels. As you look to the future, you've got obviously some subscribers on one. There's some critical mass. Would you just program for that, or would you actually create something new?
Actually, on our main channel itself, creatively, because Ryan, he likes making films. He's a filmmaker kind of guy. So we are actually trying things that are out of what we usually do.
Yeah, so it's usually because the popular videos in Singapore is least form videos, types of whatsoever. So we move on to short films, MTVs and stuff like that on our main channel. So we have other channels, we try to tap on gaming, try to tap on tutorials on how to set up a YouTube channel and stuff like that. But yes, it's very hard to manage multiple channels in this way. But keeping in mind that your main channel, the essence of our main channel was comedy. We can't just put in like gaming or tutorials inside. It will just like throw the audience or the fans like off the, the track where the reason they follow us for was comedy. So, yeah.
I've seen some big brand channels, and I don't know if you guys have seen it, where they have like 2,000 videos, 1 million subscribers, but every new video that they put out, and they put out 5 a week, only has like 8,000 views on 1 million subscribers. So it goes to show you, if you're just throwing a mishmash of content and just throwing everything at people, I guess that it does really lose that personable aspect.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really does depend. Just to give you guys a couple of examples. So one of our top creators in Japan is a beatboxer by the name of Hikakin. He actually performed with Aerosmith here last year, and became quite popular because of the exposure that he was getting on the platform. He also realized that gaming is extremely popular on the platform. So he created a separate gaming channel for that, because gaming is obviously very different from his comedy and beatboxing that he does on the other channel, and both have been equally successful. Another example. A partner of ours from India by the name of Yoboho does kids programming. They have a very popular channel called Hoopla Kids that reaches kids worldwide. And because they were focused on the kids space, they actually created a channel that is just focused on recipes where parents and kids can cook together, or recipes that are just for kids food. And because that they already had that parent-child audience, that was something that they could then leverage off of to create a new channel, which could become a shared experience between a parent and child. So I think there's a lot of creative ways to think about this. Sometimes a one-channel strategy works, and sometimes a multiple channel. Really depends on the situation. All right, next one. You guys have produced lots of videos that are top hits. Apart from having localized and comedic content, any tips on producing viral videos?
I would say one thing that I see a lot of people make as a big mistake when they're trying to make viral videos is trying to take like a funny movie or a funny short that they saw that was like from the thematic like Hollywood world, and then just trying to chop up the script to like make it like 5 minutes. You know what I mean? I think that that's a pretty big mistake, to just think, okay, we can just shorten content that was already written for a different ecosystem and different planet, and it'll work over here.
Lists work pretty well. That's like a good format. We do that sometimes, and because lists, I mean, everything, BuzzFeed, everybody's doing lists, Elite Daily, Huffington Post, it's crazy. So I think that format is a solid way to start, but make a list about something that adds value, that's interesting, and that there's not like already a bunch of videos about already. When we come up with an idea, we do search on YouTube for that idea first and see if anybody's done it before and how they've done it. And if they have done it and we really want to do it, are we going to do it different enough? Or if no one's done it, we're like, oh, great, well, we'll see, like, this is an idea that we want to do. So I'd say do things that you're passionate about, that are interesting and can help people out.
Anything from you guys?
Well, I think that videos on YouTube have actually progressed to a level whereby the production value is much higher. It's no longer the days where you can just take an iPhone footage and expect you to have like 1 million views. For now, I think like all of us, we have a production crew. It has become like a production house kind of thing. So I would say that the very basis of a video that all of us try to do now is to have the minimal production value. At least, have lighting, have good audio and things like that. Yeah.
Right, the next question is, how do you guys see yourselves as compared to similar channels like Wow Banana?
We are friends. First thing first, because I think Wow Banana is not really independent in a sense that they do not take up brand deals, because they are under a bigger company called Garena, where their focus is more on their games and their in-game shops and stuff like that. That's where their revenue comes from. So more their video is more like entertainment or like fan services for the fans that play their games. So we are kind of different in a way that we are independent.
Yeah, we're independent. That means that we can do a lot of things, which means like, you know, we can say vulgarities all we want. You know, we can throw in whatever, you know. It doesn't matter because we're just being, I feel that we are more raw in the sense that in our language and in our content, it is, like I say, more vulgar and more, I don't know, I feel that audience like it more because it's what you actually see. Like we have no restrictions whatsoever.
It's kind of more true to life. Yeah.
The next question is around, does the user and the fan data, the YouTube channel, reside with the platform and the creators of the channel? And I think you guys get obviously a lot of analytics. You know, we have a dashboard that provides our partners with a lot of information about where their content is being viewed from, what's working, what's not working. You know, maybe you guys can talk a little bit about how do you use analytics and you know, do you guys actually look at that carefully or not in making decisions?
Yeah, we definitely look at it and we definitely take note of it, but we don't let it control our channel at all. But sometimes the statistics are interesting and we're like, oh yeah, we're getting, of course on certain videos we get more views in Singapore and Malaysia, and then some videos we're heavily California, you know. But those are kind of generally what we expect, also because we read a lot of the comments, so we can kind of tell what type of people are watching the video. But for us, you know, look at the analytics, but don't let it take over.
The next question's interesting because we do talk about the fact that YouTube is an export platform. In fact, 60% of our viewership comes from outside of the market where the video was uploaded. We talked about how 80% of the content is consumed out of the US. So the question was, you know, how do you ideate and think about, you know, creating content that will travel outside of the borders, you know, be something that will be of international appeal?
I think for oftentimes being Asian or being ethnic, like let's say you're Hispanic American, oftentimes you don't choose and your videos just go out there and English speaking Asians or even Asians who barely speak English really pick up on your videos, and that's the magic, and that's something that in the past 3.5 years has blown me away, how Singapore, Indonesia, and Malaysia have picked up our videos. And we're like very Asian American. So to be honest, yeah, we will talk about certain Asian topics. We'll do Indonesian food episode. We'll do a Singaporean food episode. We'll do Filipino food episode. And those videos will obviously hit harder in those countries. But in general, just kind of being an Asian face oftentimes just puts you out on a global market because they relate to your face. Literally.
The vast majority of Asian people live in Asia. Percentage-wise on the globe, so
yeah,
you know what I mean. Yeah, and if they're cool with seeing somebody who looks somewhat like them or like them speaking English with the American culture, then that's probably check us out.
And it's funny because even for our Asian parents videos, a lot of Asians in Asia tell us that they relate to it, and we're talking about an Asian American mother, but goes to show you that oftentimes the culture is pretty similar.
I do think, and you know, I don't mean to be controversial, but I do think for lack of a better word, the Caucasian or white YouTubers have the most market penetration around the world, though. Like they can come to Singapore, Jenna Marbles can come here, and like I can't go to Germany where her parents are from, you know, and like it won't work the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of that's just language, though, right? Because you know, they're programming to an English language, you know, and a lot of our creators here. You know, do get like, you know, we've obviously seen success with Korea and K-pop and Korean drama, etc. But that is one of those things where if you're in programming a certain language, you know, outside of maybe gaming and kids, that's harder for it to travel potentially. The next question is around, you know, many viral videos come from those with an entertainment theme. What tips would you have for current affairs channels? I mean, I think I touched upon this a little bit with you know, keeping on top of and utilizing trends. So obviously, you know, a lot of information on Google Trends and Twitter Trends and sites like TrendSpotter that can give you ideas around what people are interested in talking about and what information they are particularly interested in at this moment. And so that's one obviously tip on, you know, if you're a current affairs channel, and let's figure out what people really are interested in actually learning more about. But maybe you guys have some thoughts around, current affairs or that news types of activity. Like, what would you advise? Make it funny.
To be honest, we actually have done something for like a government initiative, okay? It's something like that's pretty current. Like Singapore just launched like a Pioneer Generation card. Okay, it's a really, really dry topic, as you can see. But we actually, yes, we did convince the government agency to make it funny, to kind of like dumb it down for the audience, make it fun, and it actually hit like close to 1 million views. So comedy actually, I think it actually works for a lot of things, be it dry topics or whatnot. You add some funny elements, and when people can relate to it, I think it's okay. Yeah.
This is a question for the Fung brothers. So it says, will IP and copyright become pervasive across the platform? Will the Fung Brothers comedy be its own IP? I mean, I think you already talked about the fact that you guys are doing a TV show, but how do you think about the concept of the Fung Brothers channel and the intellectual property on that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the topics are open, but the brand is the brand, and
I guess, yeah. I mean, I think you already are your own IP because your IP is just your perspective. At least for what we do, I know for different brands they're gonna have different, chop it up differently. But for us, I mean, it is always gonna be Fung Brothers, regardless of whether it being serious, funny, hosting something, creating the content, being the star, or just putting the focus on the other thing.
Are they talking about like people like stealing content, kind of like ideas and stuff?
I don't know if it's about that. I mean, maybe this answers the question. So, we've obviously seen a lot of channel concepts turn into TV shows. You've got obviously Video Game High School that's just done its 3rd iteration. On the kids side, we've had animation made just for YouTube that has become tremendous success. So in Brazil, we have this little chicken called Galinha Pintadinha, and it's actually become the most popular toy for kids in Brazil. And they built that IP by 30 to 50 videos that they've created for YouTube, and now become a household name in the country for kids. And obviously that IP belongs to the creators. They've then gone and started merchandising off of that. So certainly there's a lot of opportunities to test out IP and then build IP too. Last year, Disney actually did an experiment where they took a character, a crocodile by the name of Swampy, and then just put some episodes on YouTube to test out whether or not they would work before making the decision to make it into a show or a movie. So I think lots of experimentation that can be done for IP creation, but then also going beyond that and turning that into show formats or movie formats or book formats. And we're seeing those types of deals happen pretty much on a daily basis with lots of our creators. Next question. I think that's for me. With YouTube launching the offline video feature in Asia, are you confident that it will work? So this is really something that's focused on emerging markets. We did announce that we're making this feature available in India, Indonesia, and the Philippines. If you look at some of these markets, the biggest problems are around access and affordability. We think that we have a great product with lots of content that people should be able to enjoy a lot more of. Here's an opportunity for them to actually take that content offline for a short period of time while they have connectivity, so that they can then consume it when they're not connected or if they have poor connectivity, which is actually an issue in a lot of emerging markets. I think it's a great opportunity for our partners to actually get broader distribution, to generate more viewership in markets where today that's being hampered by access-related issues. We're really excited about the initiative, and hopefully we have good enough engineers. We're known to be an engineering company that they will make sure that the product works. Next one. As popular YouTube stars, how can brands work with you? I think you guys have already talked too much about brands, so we'll skip that question.
Mylin.
But amen to that. A hit YouTube channel has many conversations going on. What do you take away from these, and how do you find a balance? Yep. I think it's maybe related to comments, like the different comments that you guys get. You know, some positive, some not so positive. You know, do you guys? You've talked about how you focus on comments and you respond, but you know, what are some of the broader takeaways maybe from comments?
I think a lot of times the internet audience is pretty smart, and even if it's sometimes it's sounds very malicious the way they worded it, but you just try to eat the watermelon and spit out the seeds. In life, though, in YouTube and in life,
And criticism,
that's a good motto.
There has been comments that have gone a lot of ups and that have made us as a team discuss how we were going to move forward with those videos. And so they definitely do matter. And it is a democracy in the comments. When the popular comment gets up, that means a lot of people tend to agree with it. We may not like it, but, you know,
Apparently,
think
some
about it.
people don't like sped up voices.
Apparently, they don't
like that.
They don't like us
They're
saying
offended
things
by
at
it.
the same time too much. I guess we do that too much. So it has made us reevaluate certain stylistic things.
Anything from you guys on comments and the conversations?
Okay, YouTube is very personal, you see. So I would say that we are ever changing in the sense that we do not stick to a formula, we stick to something that the audience actually wants. So we are always dynamic, we are always seeing what the audience prefer, what the audience want in the future, and we try to work towards that because this is YouTube. You know, it's fun, it's dynamic, you know, it's not like static or you know what, yeah. So we do take comments seriously and we do try to improve ourselves in the way that the audience wants us to.
Optimization.
So the next question is actually quite interesting, something that I personally have thought about too, and the question is, as your community gets older in age, do you think your content will have to adapt with their maturing taste, or will new, younger people replace the older ones?
This is always a really interesting conversation to have with some of our other YouTuber friends in America that have been in the game for 10 years, such as Wong Fu. Yeah, there are a lot of YouTubers that are getting up in age. I think we are always curious about the new generation of YouTubers, and we're not against them coming up. We would like to see some, and we're always like, kind of makes us question the generation. Maybe they don't want to try hard, or maybe they don't want to struggle through it, or maybe they don't have the passion for it. But it's definitely a question on when are there going to be some new young 18-year-old, 19-year-old faces or personalities popping up. Maybe the market's too mature, maybe it's too saturated. I don't know. There's a lot of questions, but it's an interesting conversation.
And I think it depends on the artist. You see artists that have grown, and as they graduated through college, they wanted to talk about consuming alcohol and things that older people do as they got older. And some people just decided to keep it clean, kid-friendly. And what you've seen is some of their older followers now that are older don't follow them anymore because the content is no longer catered for that demographic. So it's both. It depends on the creator.
For example, for us, we weren't always, our channel is not based on talking about where we are at our life at that point. So we didn't talk about college when we were in college necessarily. We didn't talk about relationships when we're in a relationship. So I guess it's not a super, super personal channel. So for us, it's not gonna be as big of a change, but for other people who do talk about their personal lives at that moment, you're gonna feel that change. And sometimes the audience will grow with them, but oftentimes since most of the viewers are young, they may drop off.
So the next one is, I talked about how 300 hours of content is uploaded every minute. Surely the online content platform is getting competitive, or I guess online video is getting, what do you think is your edge over other popular YouTubers? And then maybe you just focus on that because the rest of the question says any backup plans for the future, but I think you guys are finding a lot of success that you don't need backup plans, so I think I can answer that question, part of it. But maybe the first one, what's your edge? How do you think about, we talked about lots of YouTubers on the platform.
We don't stop working. We don't take vacation. Or at least I can speak for Dave and I, we have not taken a vacation.
No, we do not take vacation.
You don't take vacation. We don't take vacation. Got the
Mainly locally, our channel have always been very bent on having high production quality. So it's like other YouTube channels actually hire us to shoot for them when they have branded deals and stuff. So personally for our channel, NOC, we really place a lot of emphasis on production value, post-production, effects, audio, everything is of a top-notch quality. So to show the professionalism we have for the videos in our channel.
So I
say
think,
as a
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, as a comedian, I think this is a little bit more personal. The answer is just your perspective. You don't have anything but your perspective. So as a comedy channel, if you ever, I mean, I don't know how you lose a perspective, but if you ever lose it, then that's when you lose your advantage.
So I think you guys have touched upon this already. You know, you talked about how YouTube allows you to freely express, follow your passion, not have gatekeepers. But the question is, don't all YouTubers secretly just want to be snapped up by traditional media? So maybe we'll have you guys talk about that.
It depends, and I'll give you one example. I am friendly with him, and I don't mean the Freddie Wong. You look at Freddie Wong, he wanted to, run a little bit more corporate of a system, and I'm generalizing, but then, the other guy in his channel, Brandon, wanted to keep it more homegrown YouTube style. They're both successful in their own way, but their paths kind of diverged, and now they're not really on the same channel anymore. So you see different people with different goals. I know some people wanted to be movie stars. They wanted to live a certain lifestyle that, that is more like the MTV, Hollywood lifestyle that we all grew up with. Some people are really cool doing super grassroots. Executives don't know me, but the kid, on the bus does.
I think that most YouTubers like the idea that they could be snatched, but no, not all YouTubers want to leave YouTube.
I think a lot of them like the idea of the crossover where they still maintain their thing, but then, dabble in the bigger world or whatever.
Great example is Ryan Higa. Man, he is so huge, and he probably could have done a lot more industry stuff, and he's turned down a lot just to keep his YouTube going, and I respect that.
But I think we've seen the opposite too, right? We've seen someone like Fred, who was probably one of the first big YouTube stars, I think the first channel to ever get 1 million subscribers, go do a movie and not be active on the platform and not now really be relevant with the audience that he could have been very relevant with because he stopped interacting with his fan base and he stopped building on that fan base.
That's all he ever wanted. Fred. What about the kids, Fred? The people, Fred? What do you guys think?
All right, so we're running out of time, so maybe last question. We heard about YouTube Rewind being a look back at the year on YouTube. What were some of the biggest trends or moments for YouTubers?
Ice bucket, I guess.
Ice bucket.
Yeah. That was the trend of the year, right?
I'm not gonna lie. This video doesn't really include that much of the Asian world, so I don't know what's going on with the other people. Like I'm like, does Ryan have a partner? Ryan's not in this year. I'm not gonna watch it.
Yeah, we don't really keep up with the Fung brothers. We don't really do the whole internet trend thing as much. I mean, we're just Asian. Being Asian is cooler on the internet now. That's going up.
But
so
like,
that's the trend
we don't
we're
even
riding.
do the Gangnam Style. Shout out to the Gangnam Style, but I don't do that. I don't do Harlem Shakes. Things like that. I do.
And I apologize. You guys did invite us to do the ice bucket challenge. We just did not do it.
I couldn't do it. But that's my way of doing it. You got, everybody has their own way that's successful for them.
All right, one last question, which is quite maybe relevant for the audience that's here. What do you think of TV content today, and is it possible to coexist, or as a digital media generation, you think TV is going to be extinct like VHS? And please say you know what VHS is.
Yes.
This is really scary. You see all the TV stuff in front of you. Well,
Who's TV person? Raise their hand in here.
I would say it's different. I would say that you can't really compare an orange with an apple, and both sides can coexist. We can work together. We can collaborate. It's just really different. I don't think there's a competition anywhere. I think we complement each other in a way that, traditional media, you have your, more serious stuff or, more corporate stuff. It's okay. And for us, we are more like grassroots and, you know, more interactive to the audience, and that's okay. I think we probably cover all the audience, and yeah, no competition.
I think at the invention of a lot of different mediums like AOL Instant Messenger, people thought that was going to kill like the phone, or that was going to destroy text messaging, or text messaging was going to hurt this, or WeChat was going to destroy Facebook Messenger. And it's just like there was all this, there's a lot of different things where people automatically spell the death of another industry. The radio's still around.
Radio's still killing it.
I don't have like a TV in my car like I thought it would. I don't have a hoverboard like in Back to the Future either. So it's just a lot of things. I think people are too early to say, but obviously, yeah. I think they will affect it. Obviously, digital's going up. TV, theoretically, if you were going to say it in a very general way, going down. But even with that being said, no, there's separate worlds and they will both exist, but they'll shift differently.
I mean, in a way, if you think about it, the songs that you hear on the radio are still the big songs, while even if you don't watch TV, you know the songs on the radio still. So radio still has is kind of telling you what the top hits are. So I'm not saying that TV is going to be radio compared to the internet, because I think TV's going to have a higher position than that still. But it's TV, I do think is always going to have the highest production value, just because, I mean, you're big studios, you got a bigger team, you got like hundreds of people on set, not just 3 people. I mean, but I do think the internet will always have the most personable content and have the most personable creators. And it's funny, there was this chart that came out that said like most likable celebrities or most like approachable celebrities, and Jenna Marbles was #1, and then all the Hollywood stars were like ranked much below her. So I think as far as approachability and stuff like that, always internet.
I mean, I think if you create great content, it will find an audience. I mean, you know, Netflix is not TV, but their original programming is as good as HBO's, and is winning awards and is getting finding audiences worldwide. So you know, I think the focus should be on creating great audiences. Obviously, great content. You know, different audiences like different types of content, and I think if you focus on that, you know, you'll find success because those audiences will, you know, they're not consuming less content, they're consuming more content, but it's just they're doing it differently. So with that, I want to really thank you guys for coming and joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for sitting through a very long hour and a half. I know that most of you are either ready for happy hour or flying back home to be with your friends and families for the weekend, but really appreciate being here and appreciate having us here. Hopefully you guys learned something today that will help you with your businesses. Thank you.